I feel like a lot of times in our churches and our Christian communities, we've kind of created this stigma around mental health that keeps people from coming to us and trying to find refuge in the church. Instead, they feel like they're ostracized in a way when they do bring up the things that they're struggling with. A lot of times, rather than us sitting with them in a way that is loving and inviting and creates an open conversation about what they're struggling with, we end up trying to say things to them that just tells them ways to fix it. And a lot of times we can't fix it. A lot of times they just need us to sit there with them in their fear and their doubts and their hopelessness. September 10th is World Suicide Prevention Day. And this year we wanted to try to bring awareness and just shine a light on this thing that seems to plague our society in a silent way, that kind of seems to creep in unnoticed a lot of times. So this year for World Suicide Prevention Day, we're putting out a song called Fight For Me. And this song really comes from a place in scripture where I think a lot of people who are struggling with these things, these mental health issues like depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts, it really, the Israelites find themselves in these same types of situations. In Exodus 14, we see them running from the Egyptian army, and they get to the edge of the Red Sea. And in this moment, they look before them, and it looks like there's no way out, so it looks like death before them. They turn around, and it's the army that is determined to take their life, and so there's death behind them. And so it just seems like they're in this place of absolute, utter hopelessness. And a lot of people who are struggling with these things, that's where they find themselves. They find themselves in this place of absolute hopelessness where it seems like the only way out, the only escape is death. But in this moment, there's this really cool thing that happens. And God speaks to his people, and in verse 14, it says that the Lord your God will fight for you. You need only be still. And so we really hope to kind of encourage in three ways through this song. The first is to speak to those people who find themselves in that place. If you find yourself in that place of utter hopelessness, whether you're struggling with depression, whether it's anxiety that cripples you, or whether it's this feeling that suicide and death is the only way to get to anything better, we want to encourage you to say, no, that's not true. There is hope, and your story matters. You know, God is going to bring healing to you some way. And the beautiful part is that when that happens, your story will have an impact on somebody else. And so we want to encourage you in that there is something greater at work in your life, that there is something greater that is fighting for you. So there is hope. Secondly, if you are a part of a family or a group who has experienced the unfortunate tragedy of losing someone to suicide, we want to encourage you that there's hope for you as well, that there is freedom, there is victory over that grief, and there is healing that comes through that. And lastly, if you're a part of a church or you're part of a Christian community, we want to encourage you to have an open conversation around these things. Don't let this be the silent killer in your community. Let this be something that allows you to sit with these people who are struggling, to give them a place of hope and a place of healing and a refuge from these things that seem to creep into their life so unexpectedly. And we want to encourage you in that as well. My name's Reagan Daniels, and I hope that you are encouraged and challenged by the song Fight For Me.